Oh, record. I did that last time too. You think I'd learn.
Well, that's what I'm here for. It's my
Thank you very much. I needed a Yenta. So this is the Town of Lunenburg Open Space Ad Hoc Committee, our meeting of Thursday, August 11th, 2022. It's being held via Zoom. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel and on Facebook Live on the Public Access page. And you'll be able to find a recording of it on Lunenburg Access YouTube TV channel within 24 hours after the meeting. If you want to join the meeting tonight, you can participate remotely by joining us via Zoom. The Zoom webinar number is 7927370353. If you do join via Zoom, I ask that you have your full name in your Zoom profile. So it's not Amy's iPhone or something. It's actually a name. And then we will recognize you if you have your full name in there. The other way to join is to call in via telephone. The number is 888-475-4499. And again, you would enter the webinar number 7927370353. We don't need a participant ID. If you call in, just press pound. And if you hit *9, you can request to speak after joining the meeting, and then we will recognize you. And if you're on Zoom, you can use the raise hand feature to be recognized. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have 4 of our now 6, which I'll talk about in a minute, members. So we have a quorum for tonight. And the first order of business is to review and approve the minutes from our 6-9 meeting. We did not have a meeting in July. We didn't have a quorum. So Mary and I talked for a little while, and then we called it.
Sorry about ghosting you guys that night.
No.
This work has been nuts. So.
Same here.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I guess I haven't seen Eric. I know Sarah's probably not. I haven't heard officially, but Sarah's probably not going to be on the committee anymore. And we'll talk about the other membership stuff under item number 3. So I've taken a look at the minutes that Brandon put together. I did not have any comments on it. I don't know whether Anna or Mary, if you did. I had sent them in July and I neglected to send them out until just a few minutes ago. So if you look at your inbox, there are the minutes from 6-9 if you want to peruse them quickly. And then we can amend them if needed and then take a vote to approve them.
I
have, go ahead, Anna.
No, go ahead, Mary. Sorry.
Well, I've reviewed them, but since I wasn't at the meeting, I'm not certain that it's appropriate for me to vote on approving them.
Correct.
Does that mean we wouldn't have enough people to vote to approve them?
I thought we could vote on it, but
I think you can vote on them.
maybe it doesn't make sense to move or second them, but you can vote on it. Having written them, it's probably not appropriate for me to move it either, but
Okay, so I move that we approve the minutes for our June meeting.
And I will second them.
Excellent.
And Brandon, while we're doing this, can I ask you to be our recording secretary again,
You
please?
sure can. I've already started. So
Thank you.
And I
All
think
right,
we have
so
to do a roll call.
We're going
on
to do a
these.
roll call vote. We will do it by name. So Brandon,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Mary.
So you guys think it's appropriate for me to approve them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure do.
Aye.
Okay, and Mike Doohill, the chair, I vote aye as well. So the minutes have been reviewed and approved for the June 9th, 2022 meeting.
One note of question I had was I noted in these minutes that we were missing the minutes from the March 11th meeting.
Right.
Have you heard from? I think that was Paula's.
That was Paula. And I honestly, I've asked a couple times and,
Okay.
and I know she's very busy. She's promised to get them to me. I have not seen them.
Okay. All right. So I'll just make a note in the minutes that we still need to approve those minutes.
Yes. And that, was that from 1 or 2 meetings? Was it just the March
I
meeting?
think it was the March 11th meeting is all my notes show.
Okay. All right. If it's okay with everyone, we're going to move on to item number 3 on the agenda, committee composition. And so the first order of business tonight is I got an email just this afternoon that Tanner Cole, who was our planning board representative, has resigned from the planning board. So he is no longer the representative from the planning board. And as soon as we have a new representative from the planning board, Marjorie will let me know. So we currently have 6 members. We have myself, Mike Toohill, Mary Wilson, Eric Hines, Anna Lockwood, Sarah Kammer, although Sarah, we're suspecting may also be stepping aside, but I haven't heard officially, Brandon, and then Brandon
I
Kibbe.
have not heard officially either. After our June meeting, I reached out to Sarah because we hadn't seen her in a while to check in, make sure she's doing all right, and also see if she still had interest in continuing on the committee. She does have interest. She's just pulled in too many directions now and
Right.
indicated that she was going to be submitting a letter of resignation to the chairman. But as I understand it, you have not heard from her, so,
I have not.
okay.
I'll reach out again.
Okay. Have you tried her cell? And,
I think so. I know you sent it to me. I think I did call. It's been a while because that was back
Okay.
in June. We were talking about this, I think.
okay,
Yeah, I will try again. So I thought, given that we have Mary Wilson, who's welcome, Mary, again, who's our representative from the Conservation Commission. I thought it would be useful for the board members and also for the public that might be listening in for each of us to just take a minute, saying who we are, what our position is on the Open Space Committee, and anything else you'd like to add. So actually, Brandon, I'm going to ask you to go first.
okay, sure. Mary, first of all, welcome aboard and thank you so much for volunteering your time. And I'm excited to learn more about who you are and your background as well. I actually started with the Open Space Committee back in 2009. So I've been with the committee for a long time and was the longtime chairman of the committee until Mike agreed to help take that burden away from me, and has been doing a stellar job ever since. My professional career has largely been spent in the land conservation field. In 2013, I actually made a change to become a land manager for a hydropower company, largely managing conservation land, but from the private sector standpoint, and now serve as a director of business development and legislative affairs for that firm. But my passion still remains with land conservation, and the reason I got involved in the Open Space Committee in the beginning, and have been sort of my favorite part of the work that we do is the land conservation opportunities that we have here in town to be able to do that in my own neighborhood. I guess that's me in a nutshell. I don't know if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
No, that sounded lovely. Thanks for the overview, Brandon.
You bet.
Anna?
So I don't have such a stellar resume as Brandon as regards to land conservation, but I do have a passion for it. I am the Parks Commission representative within the open space. And recently I have volunteered to be the representative of open space on the Economic Development Commission. And that my background, my professional background is more in business, but I do have a passion for open space and just, I'm not sure. That's a little bit of on the spot where my passions are. But I do have a passion for just, even access to what the land has to offer to the residents of Lunenburg. And that's where I'm very invested on the Parks Commission. And we have a few projects happening in parks, and I'm very excited that we are moving that forward. And I'm very excited to be part of this commission as well. I think, in truth is, my family, they were farmers back in Brazil, and my most cherished memories back growing up were in a farm, just roaming around on my own. So I just value the open space quite a bit and the benefits that brings to people. So that's where it overlaps for me. It doesn't have a lot to do with my professional life, but I definitely have a passion for it.
Thank you, Anna. Mary, why don't you take a turn?
Okay. Well, so I'm the Conservation Commission representative here. I'm fairly new to the Lunenburg Conservation Commission. I got received my appointment July 1st. Primarily, I think my big interests are the conservation lands, and I've been even though I haven't been formally involved, I have been working a lot with the Conservation Commission on their trails grant over the past couple of years. I had worked with Bob Pease, the chairman, to do a lot of trail work. I've probably contributed, maybe 100 hours or more to local trail work. I've coordinated with local groups to try to get more volunteer representation and participation with the grants that are active with the Conservation Commission. I also am an avid snowmobiler because it's a great excuse to get outside in the wintertime. I am the secretary of the local snowmobile club and also the keeper of their maps. For some weird reason, I'm very geeky about maps. And you can find me looking at maps anytime somebody brings up a parcel or a tributary or a watershed or anything, just because I'm just fascinated with how the lands and the resources connect together. My professional life is just a little bit different. I've been in the electronics industry for about, 20 plus years, if anybody's counting. I am a degreed electrical engineer. My current title is Director of Hardware Development at Oracle America. But my particular area of specialization, if you will, is where technical regulations intersect development. So I and my team look at regulations in all the markets where a company does business. We interpret those regulations and we provide reasonable next step actions for the development teams to take to ensure they comply with those regulations around the world. And those regulations are things like, FCC or radio compatibility, RF wave compatibility, product safety regulations, and then there is an enormous wave of regulations around the globe now that are dealing with substances, protecting the environment, protecting aquifers, ensuring that companies are not, are being good corporate citizens and not dumping hazardous waste in countries around the world. And, that kind of dovetails a lot with my own personal conservation interests. So I feel like, with the Conservation Commission, I had a lot of leverageable skills to bring to the group in terms of looking at regulations, looking at the tentative regulations and being able to apply it to a lot of the situations that come before the Conservation Commission. But even though I have these leverageable skills, really my interest and my passion is, that we have these wonderful properties around town that interconnect with other properties in adjacent towns, and there are these lovely natural areas to get out and enjoy. Either riding my bike, walking my dogs, walking with friends, riding the snowmobiles in the few weeks that we have in the wintertime to ride the snowmobiles. And honestly, even getting out and doing a trail project to me is just another excuse to get out on the trails and enjoy nature. Oh, and I will add that I just submitted a grant to Mass Trails in the spring and was notified in June that it's been approved at the state level. So we're looking forward to getting the formal approval at the federal level, any day now. And that will bring, I think the proposed scope was 5 properties here in Lunenburg that it would bring some improvements to. So we're looking forward to getting out and working on those too.
Awesome. Thank
That's
you.
wonderful. Wow. Thank you. I got passion. That's all I got. But I love being
Passion's
with
great.
such,
We
I
need
love being
passion.
with such a, well-rounded group. That was a wonderful resume, Mary.
So I'm Mike Toohill. I'm the current chair and a community member to this ad hoc committee. By background, I'm a ecologist. I'm a professional wetland scientist, certified ecologist, and a certified ecological restoration practitioner. And Mary, you bring up regulations. I live and die and breathe regulations day after day, and I can't tell you how many conservation commissions every week I'm dealing with on different kinds of projects. I'm in the private sector. We have clients. I'm doing a lot of work for DCR right now. I do work for towns. I do work for private developers. It's like whoever pays the bills, that's who I do the work for. So I've always been an outdoors kind of person. Brandon and I were talking earlier, lots of hiking and camping and canoeing and kayaking and all kinds of good stuff. And I've always enjoyed open spaces, and I joined this committee because it's an opportunity for me to give back to a town that I still feel relatively new to, even though I've been here for like 16 years. And I've been on a lot of the properties, but not all of them, and very much enjoying it. So it's a lot of fun. So it's kind of in a way, this is a busman's holiday for me because I deal with wetlands and open space and regulations, rare species every day. And have for more years than I care to count. So, and I'm going to retire in the next year. So that's where I am. Yeah. Well, that's the plan anyway. We'll see how sucked into these other projects I get, which I know is going to happen. We'll let Eric speak for himself next time we log on together. And hopefully by that time, we'll have a new representative also from the planning board and probably a new community member, at-large member at that point as well. So there will be hopefully be back to 7 of us on this committee. Next thing I'd like to talk about is what we euphemistically called Stump Cove. And it's the 0 Lake Shirley Reservoir Road parcel off Reservoir Road. And I want to give a quick follow-up. I had a meeting with town council back in June to talk about, and I think Paula had met with Adam months before. So I brought Adam the information that Paula Bertram had pulled together, information I had pulled together, sat down with him and talked to him about what it would take to clear the title on that property. It's listed as town-owned property. It's listed on the rolls. It's, there's no tax status on it because it's town property. But in reviewing the record, we don't feel that there's a completely clear title on that. So if we wanted to take any action to use that parcel for access to Lake Shirley, we'd really need to have clear title. So Adam and I had a good talk, and he actually has a title examiner that is going to take this on for us. We have a price from the title examiner of $300 to $500, which surprised me that it was that low, given that this committee had talked about allocating up to $2,000 we have a $10,000 kitty from the Bright Farms donation to open space. So that was great. So it's going to be shorter money, which is nice. I had a conversation with Heather, with town manager, and what Heather would like us to do tonight is to take a vote. I know we voted before, but take a vote to allocate that money and to authorize her to have town council, to have Adam Costa and his company move forward with the title examination. So it's kind of a short story there. I know some of you have been involved in this conversation for a long time. Mary, if you have any questions about what this is all about, I know we didn't talk about it last time because we didn't have a quorum. I had it on the agenda, but I wanted to wait until we had a quorum to actually talk about it. So Mary, do you have any questions about this conversation? Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a couple of questions. So I already found it on the map. I think that would be a cool acquisition. And the cost, I believe, is for doing the title work is absolutely fabulous. Just as a matter of formality, though, I assume it's within budget and that there are no other claims on those budget resources that we would need to consider.
Correct. We have not,
Okay.
we have not allocated any of the funds out of that Bright Farm grant, which came to us 6-8 months ago or something like that, Brandon.
Maybe even more than that now.
Maybe a little more.
And we have previously had the conversation with the town manager and town council that, you know, basically says that's money that's at our disposal to spend at our discretion. It's trust fund dollars, so they're sitting in trust. They don't need to be allocated or otherwise authorized by town meeting. But as our fiscal agent, town manager has to be the one that actually does the contracting for that.
Correct.
Okay, no further questions for me. Thank you.
One point, and I know we talked at length about this when we talked about it. Well, we always talk at length about this. But yeah, I will be stunned if we spend $500 on this. So I do have a question as to whether that's a sort of a lump sum contract. Are we approving $500 or is this a time and materials thing? And if it's a time and materials thing based on an estimate, then I'd suggest that we possibly vote to authorize something else, and maybe it's a not to exceed. You know, I know we talked about $2,000 in the past. I'd be inclined to authorize, you know, based on the estimate, we approve them to go forward with the estimate, but, you know, not to exceed $2,000. And what if they get close to that? You know, my feeling is wherever they are, I want to see where they are, have some sort of detailed report that kind of gives us a sense of where they are in the process at the $2,000 mark, so we can decide whether we think we're close enough to, you know, spend another $500 to get across the finish line, or cut bait, as the case may be.
Okay.
Because we do know that, you know, that this is a complicated matter from all of the prior work that we've done. So a title examiner being able to knock this off with $500 would be a coup. I guess that's my $2,000, not my 2 cents.
Yeah, they actually did some checking into it, Brandon. That's how they came up with the figure. And apparently this is a title examiner that's right in the records division at the registry in Fitchburg. So rather than within Adam's office, he has a title examiner's office, but he thought maybe this would be perfect for somebody that's sitting there with the records.
Great.
So that's point well taken. So when we go to put the motion together, which you can put together at Brandon, I think we'll authorize a certain amount with a, you know, an understanding there's a not to exceed value.
Okay.
And authorize, we don't have to authorize town manager. Town manager's already authorized to do this, but ask the town manager on our behalf to go ahead and authorize town council to proceed with this.
The
Now,
one
I had
question-
mentioned, go
sorry.
ahead, Anna.
No, that's okay. It's just, you know, I'm learning from you, Brendan, on being cautious. What I find interesting about their initial quote is that we would get a report before we move forward any further. I feel like I feel like the $500, since that's their estimate, we would get a report from them before they go ahead and spend another $1,500.
Yes.
However, if we, you know, authorize that 2,000 now, it might just roll into that 2,000 before we actually can make an assessment. So I
So-
hear you. I wouldn't disagree. Not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, if there's a pause, if that is their estimate, why not just take that and wait to hear what they have to say?
And then bring it up again at a future meeting if we need to go further.
Right.
Okay,
Just because they gave us that value, and other than say, hey, we have up to $2,000, I don't think people would find busy work. I think, most people are very honorable. It's just, it takes our ability to assess and make that decision away.
Yeah, which in honesty, Anna, Adam knew that we had a $2,000 upset limit because I had that conversation with him. And they came back with, knowing what they know with the materials they had in hand, it's going to be $300 to $500. And they said, if it's easy, it's 300. If it's hard, it's 500. So I was very surprised
Yeah.
at the number. So your point's well taken. We could do it that way.
Well, I'm happy to do it that way. I just, the back of the envelope, I say that's, at $50 an hour, that's 10 hours of work, including writing the report. And at $100 an hour, that's 5 hours of work. That's not a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so, I just, it's hard for me to see a title examiner charging less than $50 to $100 an hour and possibly more than that. So,
We'll
But-
see. It might be someone who's just getting started.
yeah,
know?
maybe they're looking for some idle time work that they can fill in some blanks with. So that's great.
It could be
Right.
something, it could be that they know something we don't know yet.
Or they've already figured it out, right?
Right.
So I'm perfectly satisfied with that if that's the will of the committee. So I'll be happy to make the motion that we authorize $500 out of the Bright Farms Fund to pursue title examination and certification of the Stump Cove parcel that we've been discussing tonight.
I second that.
Thank you. So roll call vote, Brandon,
Aye.
Anna, Mary,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye as well. So that carries, and I will get back to Heather and ask her to go ahead and get that contracting process going. Hopefully we'll have a report back at our next meeting. We'll see. That's all I had for Stump Cove, because that was our next big step. The next item on the agenda is just, are there any other committee comments or concerns about anything? I didn't have any other agenda items. I have one thing that I'm gonna ask Mary maybe to help with under public comment, but let's do the committee comments and concerns first.
I don't have any comments. I just want to give you, just as the liaison to the Parks Commission here. I feel like I'm the, vice versa. I feel that role. The Parks Commission is moving forward with trying to get funding for the Marshall Park project. Last week, we had a really good presentation with the select board. We had really good support from the community. And I think that's a representation of the work that has been done in the past couple of years on, engaging the community, listening and addressing the concerns. And the select board voted anonymously to support the project. We don't know what that translates into money yet, but it was great. So the Parks Commission, and now also I'm the chair of the commission, and we're focusing on trying to move that project forward. And at the same time, I have spoken with Heather and we don't really have a parks, we have one parks person who works for the town part-time. And the commission is willing to do some work that would normally be done by maybe someone who works for the town. And one of those things is maybe start planning, imagining some capital projects that we need, and we're going to be taking that. And one of the things that is on our purview is definitely the Northfield property, because I think when that was first acquired, there was some thinking about rectangular fields there. So we're going to be working on that. I don't know where the committee will land on our projects and requests for Heather. But that's kind of where we're moving towards. And I definitely want to express my appreciation for Heather to be willing to work with volunteers on this. I always say that Lunenburg used to be a all volunteer town. And as we grow and we try to bring in employees and doing certain things that volunteers used to do, it's kind of difficult to find what is that middle ground on having both sides work together. And I appreciate Heather being willing and open to work with us at a capacity that normally should be working with the department head. So kudos for her for that. But that's the update from parks. And hopefully we'll keep moving with that. The plan for Marshall Park I think is wonderful. It adds a lot of uses for different groups. Right now we have almost exclusively used for baseball. It's a wonderful project, and I think it'll be a great asset for the town, especially because of where it's located. I cannot sell this project enough. So, but I'm very excited about it. So that's the update from parks.
Okay. Mary, Bob Pease had sent me an email. I think he might have sent it to all of us over a month ago. I read it and I'm forgetting most of the details on it, but the bottom line, I actually listed under public comment, but since we're doing kind of reports back from the different representatives, do you know much about the bequest to the Conservation Commission that came in recently?
I know only some superficial details. I would recommend that maybe I circle back to Bob and get close to the details and bring back a report maybe at the next meeting.
Okay. He sent me a very nice email, which if I haven't already, I'll share with the rest of this committee, kind of explaining what's going on with it. So I'll send that to you, and then you can use that as a takeoff point and have a conversation with Bob. And a little while ago, you mentioned that there's potential for some grant money coming into Conservation Commission.
Yes. So, and this was actually done through my role with Lunenburg Snow Riders, but our grants are always proposed to benefit the town properties. The goal of our grant was to buy another groomer for the club, but because we do feel very strongly about our stewardship role for the trails and the properties, and snow is becoming rarer and rarer around these parts. We actually proposed buying an ATV that could be equipped with tracks in the wintertime, but with the idea that we could use the ATV to help maintain the trails in the summer and help haul material out to the trails. As part of that, putting that grant together, I worked closely with Bob to talk about the Conservation Commission's kind of strategic goals with improving the trails and properties around town. What we're going to do is we're providing labor to add another 6 kiosks to the town property, and you guys may know that last year the Lunenburg Snow Riders provided the labor to build 6 kiosks and get those installed. The Conservation Commission sponsored all of the materials through the grant that they had previously awarded. We would also be buying gravel through grant sponsorship to improve the parking areas on the Cowdrey on Multus Road, and also for the Cowdrey on Route 2A to get those parking areas re-graveled with 2 inches of gravel. We would be doing some maintenance work on the Lane property with compact tractors, and I think it's primarily with compact tractors, to get gravel that's currently in the parking area, get that out on trails that have suffered some erosion damage and that have a little bit of seepage. And anytime you have seepage on trails, people tend to walk around the seepage, and so then you have unintended side trails and erosion risk there. We want to keep people on the trails, so we're going to take that existing gravel in the Lane property and move that out to the Peter Charpentier Bridge. And then there's an erosion area near the accessibility parking at the Lane property as well. We'll get that shored up and cleaned up so that it's once again, accessible to people that have mobility impairment.
Great.
And I'm probably leaving one out, but that's by memory, that's the scope of that project.
Excellent. Thank you.
That is awesome, and I really appreciate the work of the Conservation Commission and the Snow Riders to do all that work on our conservation lands. Every time I am able to go out and enjoy our local conservation lands, it is always impressive to me how much more is done every time I go out there to make them better. So you guys are doing a bang up job, and I certainly really appreciate it.
Yeah, and the new kiosks are awesome.
They
Yeah.
are awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's wonderful how, one of the many colors of Lunenburg that I appreciate is how, different groups of different interests are always able to gather and find common ground and common causes and get so much done and accomplished. So no, that's great. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Brandon, did you have anything? No, you good? Okay. I guess we'll open it up for public comment. If there's anyone from the public that wishes to address this committee, please use the raise hand function. Or if you're on your phone, hit *9. I don't see anyone. I only see us as the 4 participants right now, but we'll give it a second. No, it's just the 4 of us. Okay. So the next agenda item is just to schedule our next meeting, and maybe we'll have a report back from the title examiner at that meeting, and also a new representative from planning. So that'll be good. So we currently have our next meeting scheduled for September 8th. First of all, I just want to make sure that still works for the 3 of you. Works for me.
Works for me.
Okay. So let's go out one more. Anna, you good with September 8th?
Yeah, I'm good with September 8th.
Okay. Let's go out one more and look at October. We've been trying to do the second Thursday, so that would be October 13th, which I cannot make, unfortunately, October 13th. So are there other either days of that week, or would we want to move it up a week to the 6th or back a week to the 20th?
I would vote for the 20th. I cannot make the 6th.
Okay.
Any of those dates are fine with me.
Okay.
Same for me.
All right, let's do it on the 20th then, Brendan. All right. I apologize. The 13th is our once a year client golf outing, so I don't want to miss that.
And is that still 7:30 p.m.?
7:30 p.m. on Zoom. The governor did sign the bill to authorize continued meetings on Zoom, so we are going to do that for the foreseeable future, unless people really want to go over and meet in our little meeting room again, which is fine with me too. But for right now, let's say that our meetings are on Zoom until the agendas come out and say otherwise.
That's good. If it would be great, well, I mean, I love Sarah's participation, but if we hear that anyone else has resigned, I think we're short. This is a 7-people committee, right?
7, correct.
So we're missing, how many people we have open?
We have Eric is still on the committee.
Okay.
Actually, Sarah is technically still on the committee, but won't be, and Tanner's not. So right now it's for the reality is there's 5 of us.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because I think Paula Bertrand had expressed, wishes to maybe stay in the committee if there was a position open at a large position. So if
And
that opens.
I think Sarah's at large. So if Sarah did decide to resign, excuse me, that would open up the other at large.
Okay,
Okay.
wonderful.
So I'll reach out again to Sarah. Brandon, feel free to also do that. I know she's been great, and I know there were lots of, COVID issues and other issues that she was dealing with. So feel for her, but we'd like to find out whether or not she feels it's time to come back or take a break. And with that, unless somebody has anything else, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
So
to
moved.
adjourn.
I'd like to move that we adjourn.
All right, Mary moved and we'll give on to the second because you jumped in there first.
All right, I
All right.
second that motion.
All right, Brandon?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, so that's it. Thank you very much for joining tonight. I appreciate it. And we will see
It was
you.
great meeting everybody.
Yeah,
Likewise.
Likewise, and nice to meet you, Mary. Thank you, everybody.
yeah.
Thank you. Talk soon.
All right.